Marcus froze with a spoon halfway to the girl's mouth. The sound outside wasn't the usual noise of Cape Town's harbor, fishing boats and seagulls fighting over scraps. This was different. Smooth, heavy, powerful. Like thunder made of money. Black Range Rovers rolled into the small fishing dock, their windows dark as midnight, bodies gleaming like they'd just driven out of a showroom. The boats suddenly looked smaller, older, more broken. Men stepped out first. Security. Dark suits. Hard faces. They scanned the area like they expected danger to jump out from behind Marcus's pile of fishing nets. Then the door of the front vehicle opened. A polished black shoe touched the wet ground. A man stepped out, tall, sharp, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Marcus's entire boat. His gray beard was trimmed perfectly. His face belonged on television. The man's eyes swept across the dock and landed on Marcus's small wooden shack. He began walking toward it, calm, controlled, like he owned the ocean itself. Marcus's heart hammered. His mind raced through every mistake he'd ever made. Then the man stepped into the shack, looked past Marcus, and locked eyes on Mia, the dying girl Marcus had been feeding for weeks. The powerful man's breath caught. His shoulders jerked like he'd been punched. And suddenly, this man who looked like he could buy all of Cape Town dropped to his knees on the wet wooden floor and began to cry. "My daughter," he whispered, voice breaking. "Mia." Marcus's world stopped. The plate nearly slipped from his hands. The man looked up at Marcus, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you for saving my daughter." Marcus's mouth went dry. In that moment, he realized the dying girl he'd rescued wasn't just anyone. She was somebody's child. Somebody powerful. Somebody who could send Black Range Rovers to a poor fisherman's dock. If you want to know how Marcus saved this billionaire's daughter and what happened next, keep watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our incredible stories of kindness and redemption. The first thing Marcus noticed was always the sea. Living at Cock Bay Harbor meant your life moved with the tides. Wake up at 4 a.m. Check the nets. Mend what's broken. Go out when the water allowed it. Come back when darkness or storms forced you home. Marcus had been doing this for 15 years, ever since his father died and left him nothing but a small wooden boat and a one-room shack at the edge of the dock. The shack wasn't much, rough wooden walls, a tin roof that sang when it rained, a single window facing the ocean. But it was his. That evening, 3 weeks before the convoy arrived, Marcus was pulling his boat onto the dock. The day had been hard. The catch was small. His back ached. His hands were raw from the ropes. The sun was setting orange and purple over the Atlantic, painting everything in colors too beautiful for his tired mood. He was tying the boat down when he heard it. A sound. Soft. Almost like wind through the wooden posts. But something about it made Marcus stop. He listened again. There. Behind the stack of old crates near the storage shed. Probably a seal pup, Marcus muttered to himself. They sometimes got stuck between the docks, confused and crying. But when he walked over and looked behind the crates, his breath stopped. It wasn't a seal. It was a girl. She was collapsed against the wooden posts, her clothes torn and stained, her skin pale under layers of dirt. Her eyes were half open, barely focused. Her lips moved but no sound came out. Marcus dropped to his knees. Miss, can you hear me?" Her eyes turned toward him slowly, like it took all her strength just to see him. "Water," she whispered. The word was so faint Marcus almost missed it. His first thought wasn't about helping. It was about trouble. Cape Town wasn't safe. Helping strangers could bring police, gangs, false accusations. Marcus had learned to survive by keeping his head down and his hands clean. But then she whispered again. "Please." Marcus swore under his breath. He couldn't just walk away. He ran back to his shack, grabbed a bottle of water and a blanket. When he returned, she was trembling. Her whole body shook like she was freezing even though the evening was warm. Marcus lifted her head gently and brought the bottle to her lips. "Small sips," he said softly. "Don't rush." She drank desperately, water spilling down her chin. Marcus pulled the bottle back. "Easy. Easy." Her eyes focused on him for the first time. She looked young, maybe early 20s. Her face was hollow, her cheekbones sharp. She looked like someone who hadn't eaten in days. "What happened to you?" Marcus asked. She didn't answer. Her eyes closed. For a moment, Marcus thought she'd passed out. But then she whispered again. "Don't call police." Marcus frowned. "You need a hospital." "No." Her hand grabbed his wrist weakly. "Please. No police. No hospital." Marcus sat back on his heels. This girl was clearly in trouble. Bad trouble. The smart thing would be to walk away. Call someone. Let it be someone else's problem. But something in her eyes stopped him. Fear. Real, deep fear. Not the fear of someone guilty. The fear of someone hunted. Marcus made a decision he would question every day for the next 3 weeks. "All right," he said quietly. "No police." He wrapped the blanket around her, lifted her carefully, she was frighteningly light, and carried her into his shack. He laid her on his only bed, a thin mattress on the floor. She curled into herself immediately, shivering. Marcus grabbed another blanket and covered her. Then he sat back against the wall, watching her breathe, wondering what kind of storm he'd just pulled into his life. Outside, the ocean moved in and out. Inside, a dying girl slept in Marcus's bed. And Marcus sat awake, staring at the ceiling, knowing that nothing would be the same. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat against the wall of his shack, watching the girl breathe. Every few minutes, he'd lean forward to check if her chest was still rising and falling. She was so still, so pale. Like life was slowly leaking out of her. By morning, the guilt hit him. Maybe he should have called someone. Maybe she needed medicine he couldn't give her. Maybe he was letting her die just to avoid trouble. But when the sun came up and she was still breathing, Marcus made another choice. If she was going to die, it wouldn't be from hunger. He had almost nothing in his shack. Half a loaf of brown bread. Some leftover fish from yesterday. A tin of beans. That was it. That was everything until he could sell today's catch. Marcus tore off a piece of bread, soaked it in water to make it soft, and knelt beside the girl. "Hey," he said gently. "You need to eat." Her eyes opened slowly. They looked clearer than last night, but still weak. She stared at him like she wasn't sure if he was real. "Just a little," Marcus said. "Please." She tried to sit up but her arms gave out. Marcus caught her before she fell back. He propped her up against the wall, his hand supporting her back. He brought the soft bread to her lips. Small bites. She took a bite. Chewed slowly. Swallowed with difficulty. Marcus watched her throat move and felt his chest tighten. How long had it been since she'd eaten? He fed her piece by piece. Bread. A little bit of fish. Some water. She ate like someone who'd forgotten how. Her hands shook when she tried to hold the cup herself. "What's your name?" Marcus asked quietly. She didn't answer right away. Her eyes darted toward the door like she expected someone to burst through it. "It's okay," Marcus said. "You're safe here." "Mia," she whispered finally. "I'm Marcus." She nodded slightly. Then her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Marcus looked away. He didn't know what to say. Thanking someone for food felt wrong. Food was supposed to be normal. Basic. Not something you cried over. "Rest," he said. "I'll be back later." He left her there and went out to check his boat. The morning was already bright. Other fishermen were heading out. A few waved. Marcus waved back, trying to look normal. Trying not to look like a man hiding a dying girl in his shack. He spent the day at sea, but his mind stayed on land. What was he doing? He didn't know this girl. She could be a criminal. She could be dangerous. She could bring trouble that would destroy the small, quiet life he'd built. But when he came back that evening with a small catch, and saw her still lying there, still breathing, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. He cooked the fish over a small camping stove. Added some rice he bought from the market with the little money he'd made. When it was ready, he sat beside Mia and fed her again. This time, she ate a little more. Her eyes stayed open longer. She watched Marcus like she was trying to figure him out. "Why are you helping me?" she asked quietly. Marcus shrugged. "Don't know. You don't even know me. Don't need to." Mia's lip trembled. Most people would have called the police. Marcus stirred the rice. "I'm not most people." That night, Mia slept better. Marcus still didn't sleep much. He sat by the window, watching the moon on the water, wondering how long he could keep this up. His food wouldn't last forever. His money was almost gone. And winter was coming. The cold Cape Town winter that made everything harder. But for now, Mia was alive. And that felt like enough. The next morning, Marcus found her sitting up on her own. It was small progress, but progress. She smiled weakly when she saw him. "Good morning," she said. Marcus nodded. "Morning." He made her tea with the last of his sugar. She held the cup with both hands, shaking but managing. "I won't stay long," Mia said quietly. "I promise." Marcus didn't answer. Because the truth was, he didn't know what he wanted. Part of him wanted her to leave before trouble came. Part of him wanted her to stay until she was strong enough to survive out there. But life didn't care what Marcus wanted. Life had its own plans. And those plans were about to crash into his shack with the force of a storm. 3 days passed. Then a week. Then 2 weeks. Mia got stronger, but slowly. So slowly that some days Marcus wondered if she was getting better at all. She could sit up now. She could drink on her own. But standing, walking, that was still too much. Marcus's life became a routine. Wake up before dawn. Feed Mia. Go fishing. Come back. Feed Mia again. Sleep. Repeat. His catch got smaller. The fish weren't running well this season. Some days he came back with almost nothing. Those were the hardest days. Because Marcus would stare at the small pile of fish and have to choose. Sell them for money, or cook them for Mia. He always chose Mia. His neighbors started noticing. Old Tom, who ran the bait shop, pulled Marcus aside one morning. "You all right, boy?" Tom asked. His weathered face creased with concern. "You're looking thin." "I'm fine," Marcus said. "You eating?" "Yeah." Tom didn't look convinced. "If you need help." "I'm fine," Marcus repeated, more firmly this time. Tom nodded slowly. "All right. But my door's open." Marcus walked away quickly. He couldn't let people get close. Couldn't let them ask too many questions. Because questions led to answers. And answers led to Mia. And Mia couldn't be found. Back at the shack, Mia was trying to stand. She had one hand on the wall, her legs shaking beneath her. Marcus dropped his bag and rushed over. "What are you doing?" "Trying," Mia said through gritted teeth. "You're going to hurt yourself." "I need to get stronger." Marcus sighed. "Not by falling and cracking your head open." He helped her back down. She sat heavily, breathing hard. Frustrated tears filled her eyes. "I hate this," she whispered. "I hate being weak. I hate being a burden." "You're not a burden. I'm eating your food. Sleeping in your bed. You're barely eating anymore, Marcus. Don't think I haven't noticed." Marcus looked away. "Why are you doing this?" Mia asked, her voice breaking. "You don't owe me anything." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice soft. "When I was 16, my father died at sea. Storm came out of nowhere. His boat went down. They never found his body. Mia's eyes softened. After that, I was alone, Marcus continued. No family. No money. I almost starved. Would have probably, if old Tom hadn't fed me for a few months. Didn't ask questions. Just fed me. He looked at Mia. So no, I don't owe you anything. But someone once fed me when I was dying. Maybe that's why I'm feeding you. Mia's tears spilled over. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just get better. That night, Marcus cooked the last of his rice. He gave most of it to Mia and ate only a few spoonfuls himself. His stomach complained, but he ignored it. Hunger was something he knew how to handle. Watching someone die because they didn't have food? That he couldn't handle. Around midnight, Mia woke up crying. Marcus was still awake, sitting by the window. He moved to her side quickly. What's wrong? Are you in pain? She shook her head, but the tears kept coming. I keep seeing them, she whispered. Seeing who? The men. The room. The dark. Marcus's chest tightened. What men, Mia? She squeezed her eyes shut. They took me. Kept me locked up. I don't even know how long. Days. Weeks. Everything blurred together. Marcus sat down beside her. Who were they? I don't know. They wore masks. They said they wanted money. From my father. Your father. Mia nodded weakly. He has money. They knew that. They wanted millions. Marcus's breath caught. This girl wasn't just someone in trouble. She was someone important. Someone connected. How did you escape? Marcus asked quietly. I got sick, Mia said. Really sick. I stopped eating. Stopped responding. They started arguing. One of them said I was going to die. They started panicking. They were afraid they'd get blamed if I died. So they left you. Mia nodded. Just dumped me by the road. I walked as far as I could. Then I collapsed. Marcus felt cold all over. These weren't just criminals. They were kidnappers. Dangerous people. And if they found out Mia was alive. Does anyone know you're here? Marcus asked. No. I made sure. What about your father? Does he know you're alive? Mia's face crumpled. No. He probably thinks I'm dead. They probably told him I'm dead. Marcus ran his hand over his face. This was bigger than he'd thought. Way bigger. Maybe we should call. No, Mia said firmly. Not yet. Please. If they find out I'm alive, they'll come back. And they'll kill anyone who helped me. Marcus's blood ran cold. Mia. Please, Marcus. Just a little longer. Until I'm strong enough to protect myself. Marcus wanted to argue. Wanted to say this was too dangerous. But when he looked at her, pale, shaking, terrified, he couldn't. All right, he said quietly. A little longer. Outside, the ocean crashed against the rocks. Inside, two people sat in silence, both knowing that time was running out. 22 days. That's how long Mia had been in Marcus's shack when everything changed. It was mid-morning. Marcus was outside mending a fishing net. Mia was inside, sitting on the bed, finally able to stand for a few minutes at a time. She'd eaten breakfast, a small bowl of oatmeal Marcus had bought with the last coins in his pocket. Marcus was trying to figure out how he'd afford food for tonight when he heard it. Engines. Not the normal sound of delivery trucks or tourist buses. This sound was different. Smooth. Heavy. Powerful. Like money wrapped in metal. Marcus looked up from his net. His hands stopped moving. 3 black Range Rovers rolled slowly down the narrow road leading to the harbor. Their windows were tinted completely dark. Their bodies gleamed in the sun like they'd never seen a speck of dust. Other fishermen stopped working. People turned to look. This kind of vehicle didn't come to Cork Bay Harbor. Ever. The convoy stopped right in front of Marcus's shack. Marcus's heart dropped into his stomach. Car doors opened. Men stepped out. 8 of them. Security. Dark suits. Earpieces. Hard faces. They moved like soldiers, scanning the area, checking corners, positioning themselves. Then the front passenger door of the lead vehicle opened. A polished black shoe touched the wet concrete. Then another. A man stepped out. He was tall, broad-shouldered. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit. His gray beard was trimmed with precision. His face was serious, controlled, carved from stone and authority. Even without knowing his name, Marcus knew this man had power. Real power. The kind that closed roads and opened doors. The man looked around once. His eyes swept across the harbor. The boats. The shacks. The fishermen. Then his gaze locked onto Marcus's small wooden building. He started walking toward it. Marcus stood up slowly. His hands were shaking. His mind raced through every possible reason why someone like this would come here. Did someone report Mia? Was this the police? Was this? The man walked past Marcus without even looking at him. He went straight to the door of the shack. "Sir, wait," Marcus started. One of the security guards stepped in front of Marcus. "Stay back." Marcus's breath caught. "That's my home. You can't just." The man opened the door and stepped inside. There was a moment of terrible silence. Then Marcus heard it. A sound like a man's soul breaking in half. "Mia." The word came out strangled, desperate, filled with so much pain and relief that Marcus felt it in his bones. Marcus pushed past the guard and ran to the door. Inside the shack, the powerful man was on his knees on the floor. His expensive suit was pressed against the dirty wood. His hands were reaching toward Mia, trembling. And Mia was staring at him with wide, tear-filled eyes. "Dad," she whispered. The man let out a broken sob. "My daughter. My daughter." He pulled her into his arms, holding her so carefully, like she might shatter. His whole body shook. Tears ran down his face and disappeared into his beard. "I thought you were dead," he choked out. "They told me, they said." "I'm alive," Mia whispered. "I'm alive, Dad." Marcus stood frozen in the doorway. His mind struggled to catch up. Dad. This was her father. The billionaire father. The man looked up at Marcus. His eyes were red. His face was wet with tears. But his voice, when he spoke, carried weight. "You," he said. Marcus couldn't move. The man stood up slowly, still holding Mia's hand. He looked at Marcus like he was seeing something unbelievable. "You saved her." It wasn't a question. Marcus swallowed hard. I just gave her food. You saved her life." The man's voice cracked. He let go of Mia's hand and walked toward Marcus. For a second, Marcus thought he was about to be hit. Or arrested. Or worse. But the man stopped right in front of him and did something Marcus never expected. He reached out and gripped Marcus's shoulders. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for saving my daughter." Marcus didn't know what to say. His throat was tight. His eyes burned. "What's your name?" the man asked. "Marcus," he managed. The man nodded. "I'm Michael Theron." Michael Theron. The name hit Marcus like a wave. He'd heard that name on the radio. On the news. Michael Theron. CEO of Theron Industries. One of the richest men in South Africa. Marcus's knees went weak. "How long has she been here?" Michael asked. 3 weeks, Marcus said quietly. Michael's face tightened. He looked back at Mia. She was so thin. So pale. So clearly still recovering. "She needs a doctor," Michael said firmly. "Now." He turned to his security. "Get the medic." Carefully. One of the guards nodded and spoke into his earpiece. Mia tried to sit up straighter. Dad, I'm okay. You're not okay. Michael's voice was gentle but firm. Look at you. Within minutes, a medical team arrived. They checked Mia's vitals, asked her questions, examined her carefully. Marcus stood off to the side, feeling out of place in his own home. She's severely malnourished and dehydrated, the medic said. But stable. She needs hospital care. We'll take her now, Michael said. No, Mia said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. She was looking at Marcus. Not without Marcus. Michael frowned. Mia. He saved me, Dad. He fed me every single day when he barely had food himself. He kept me alive. He comes with us. Michael looked at Marcus. Really looked at him this time. At his worn clothes. His calloused hands. His thin frame. Understanding filled Michael's eyes. This man hadn't just helped his daughter. He'd sacrificed for her. Of course, Michael said quietly. Marcus, please. Come with us. Marcus hesitated. My boat. My shack. Leave it, Michael said. My people will watch it. Right now you need to come. Marcus looked at Mia. She nodded. All right, Marcus said. The inside of the Range Rover was like nothing Marcus had ever experienced. Leather seats. Climate control. Complete silence except for the soft hum of the engine. It smelled clean. Expensive. Foreign. Marcus sat stiffly in the back seat, his dirty fishing clothes feeling wrong against the pristine interior. Mia was in the vehicle ahead of them, lying down with medical staff monitoring her. Michael Theron sat beside Marcus, his phone pressed to his ear. Yes, the best room, Michael was saying. Private. Full security. I don't care what it costs. Good. We'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up and looked at Marcus. Thank you for coming. Marcus nodded. He didn't know what else to do. How did you find her? Michael asked quietly. Marcus told him. The evening behind the crates. The water. The fear in Mia's eyes when she begged him not to call police. Michael's jaw tightened. She asked you not to call anyone? Yes. And you listened. She was terrified, Marcus said. I figured she had a reason. Michael was quiet for a moment. You probably saved her life twice. Once by finding her. Again by not calling anyone. What do you mean? Michael's face darkened. The people who took her had contacts. Police. Officials. If you'd called the wrong person. He trailed off, but Marcus understood. They would have found her. Killed her. Maybe killed Marcus too. The hospital was private. Huge. It looked more like a luxury hotel than a medical facility. Security met them at the entrance. Doctors were already waiting. Mia was taken immediately to a private wing. Marcus tried to stay back, but Michael gripped his arm. No. You stay. They followed the medical team into a large, bright room. Everything was white and clean. Machines beeped softly. Nurses moved efficiently. Mia was transferred to a proper hospital bed. Marcus stood in the corner, feeling completely out of place. He was a fisherman. He worked with his hands. He smelled like the sea. This world of glass and machines and people in white coats, it wasn't his world. A doctor approached Michael. Mr. Theron, we'll run a full examination. Blood work. 4 fluids. She's in good hands. How long will it take? A few hours for the tests. Then we'll know more. Michael nodded. He turned to Marcus. Come with me. Let them work. Michael led Marcus to a private waiting room. It had comfortable chairs, a coffee machine, magazines. A security guard stood by the door. Michael poured 2 cups of coffee and handed one to Marcus. Sit. Please. Marcus sat. The chair was so soft he almost sank into it. He held the coffee cup awkwardly. Tell me everything, Michael said. From the beginning. So Marcus told him. Every detail. Finding Mia. Feeding her. The nights she cried. The days she could barely sit up. The slow, painful progress. Michael listened without interrupting. But Marcus could see his hands tightening around his coffee cup. Could see the pain in his eyes. 3 weeks, Michael said finally. You fed her for 3 weeks. I did what I could. What did you eat? Marcus looked away. Enough. Marcus. Marcus sighed. I sold what I caught. Kept what I couldn't sell. Sometimes I ate. Sometimes I didn't. Michael closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet. You were starving yourself to keep her alive. She was dying, Marcus said simply. I wasn't. Michael stood up abruptly and walked to the window. He stood there for a long moment, his back to Marcus. I have spent the last 6 weeks searching for her, Michael said quietly. I hired private investigators. Security firms. I paid millions for information. And the whole time, she was being kept alive by a fisherman who had nothing. I had enough, Marcus said. Michael turned around. You didn't though. Did you? Marcus didn't answer. Michael walked back over and sat down. What do you do, Marcus? Besides fishing? Just fishing. Family? No. Just me. Michael nodded slowly. Tell me what you need. Money. A better boat. A house. Name it. Marcus shook his head. I don't need anything. Marcus. I didn't save her for money, Marcus said firmly. I saved her because she needed saving. Michael stared at him. You're serious? Yes. For a long moment, Michael said nothing. Then he did something that surprised Marcus again. He smiled. A real smile. Sad but genuine. My daughter told me you were stubborn, Michael said. She was right. Before Marcus could respond, the door opened. The doctor stepped in. Mr. Theron? We have the results. Both men stood up quickly. How is she? Michael asked. Stable, the doctor said. Severe malnutrition. Dehydration. Some signs of trauma. But no permanent damage. She was found just in time. Marcus felt his legs go weak with relief. He grabbed the back of the chair to steady himself. Can I see her? Michael asked. Yes. She's asking for both of you, actually. Michael looked at Marcus. Come on. They walked back to Mia's room. She was sitting up now, and 4 in her arm, monitors attached to her chest. But her eyes were clearer. Her color was better already. Dad, she said softly. Michael went to her immediately, taking her hand. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Mia looked past him at Marcus. Marcus. Marcus stepped forward slowly. Hey. They said I was 3 days away from organ failure, Mia said quietly. The doctor told me. 3 more days without food and care, and I would have died. Marcus's throat tightened. You saved me, Mia said, tears rolling down her cheeks. You saved my life. Marcus didn't know what to say. So he just nodded. Michael looked between them. You both need rest. Real rest. Marcus, there's a room prepared for you here. Please. Stay tonight. Marcus wanted to refuse. But his body was exhausted. His mind was tired. And honestly, he didn't want to leave yet. Not until he knew Mia was really okay. All right, Marcus said quietly. Just tonight. But both of them knew it wouldn't be just one night. Because what had started with a dying girl behind some crates had become something bigger than either of them understood. Marcus spent that night in the hospital. His room was small but comfortable, better than anything he'd slept in for years. There was a rail bed with clean sheets, a private bathroom, a window overlooking the city lights of Cape Town. But Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Mia. About the last 3 weeks. About how close she'd come to dying in his shack. About what would have happened if he'd walked away that night. Around 3 a.m., he gave up on sleep and walked the quiet hospital halls. The security guard at Mia's door nodded at him but said nothing. Marcus had been cleared by Michael Theron. That meant he could go anywhere. Marcus found himself in the hospital chapel. It was empty. Quiet. Just a small room with some chairs and a simple cross on the wall. He sat down and put his face in his hands. "Thank you," he whispered to no one in particular. To God, maybe. To the universe. To whatever force had put him in the right place at the right time. Couldn't sleep either? Marcus jumped. Michael Theron stood in the doorway. He looked exhausted. His suit jacket was gone. His tie was loose. His eyes were red. "Sorry," Marcus said. "I didn't mean to intrude." "You're not." Michael walked in and sat down a few chairs away. "I've been here for hours. Just sitting with her. Watching her sleep. Making sure she's really there." Marcus nodded. "How is she?" "Better. The 4 is helping. They said she can go home in a day or 2. They sat in silence for a while. "I have a question," Michael said finally. "And I need you to be honest." "Okay. Why didn't you call anyone? The whole 3 weeks. You could have called hospitals. Police. Me. Why didn't you?" Marcus thought carefully. "She was terrified. She said if I called anyone, she'd die. I believed her. But you risked your own safety. Your freedom. If she'd died in your care, you could have been blamed. Arrested." "I know. So why?" Marcus looked up at the cross on the wall. "My father used to say something. He said the ocean doesn't ask questions. It just takes or gives. Sometimes you're the one drowning. Sometimes you're the one pulling someone out of the water. You don't think about it. You just do it." Michael was quiet for a long moment. "Your father sounds like a wise man." He was. Michael stood up. "Come with me. There's something I want to show you." They took the elevator down to the parking garage. Michael led Marcus to one of the Range Rovers. He opened the back door and pulled out a folder. "These are the people who took my daughter," Michael said, opening the folder. Marcus saw photos. Police reports. Documents. 5 men. All connected to organized crime in Cape Town. "They demanded 50 million rand, Michael said. "I was ready to pay. Then communication stopped. They went dark. We thought." His voice caught. "We thought they'd killed her." "Why did they stop?" Marcus asked. "We don't know. But the police tracked them. Found their hideout 2 weeks ago. Empty. Like they'd left in a hurry." Marcus's stomach tightened. "Did they leave any evidence? Anything about Mia?" "Nothing. It's like she vanished." Michael looked at Marcus. "Until you found her. Did you catch them?" "Not yet. But we will." Michael's voice went cold. "They took my daughter. They terrorized her. They nearly killed her. I will find them. And they will answer for it." Marcus had never heard such quiet fury. It was the voice of a man who had power and wasn't afraid to use it. They went back upstairs. Dawn was starting to break outside the windows. "Marcus," Michael said as they reached the elevator, "I owe you a debt I can never repay. But I'm going to try. You don't owe me anything. I do. And whether you like it or not, your life is about to change." 2 days later, Mia was discharged. She could walk now, slowly but steadily. Her color was back. Her eyes had light in them again. Marcus had stayed at the hospital the whole time. Michael had insisted. "You're part of this now," Michael had said. "Like it or not." The convoy took them back to the Theron estate in Constantia. Marcus had never seen anything like it. Massive gates. Manicured gardens. A house that looked like something from a movie. All glass and stone and luxury. "This is home," Michael said as they pulled up. Marcus just stared. Inside was even more overwhelming. High ceilings, marble floors, art on the walls that probably cost more than Marcus's entire life. "I should go," Marcus said quietly. "I don't belong here." "You belong wherever I say you belong," Michael said firmly. "And right now, you belong here. At least for a few days. Let Mia recover. Let yourself recover. Then we'll talk about what comes next." Marcus wanted to argue, but he was tired. And honestly, he didn't want to leave Mia yet. Not until he was absolutely sure she'd be okay. A woman appeared, one of the house staff. She showed Marcus to a guest room. It was bigger than his entire shack. The bed looked like something from a palace. "If you need anything, just press this button," the woman said, showing him an intercom. "Someone will come right away." Marcus nodded, still overwhelmed. That evening, they had dinner together. Marcus, Mia, and Michael. It was strange. Surreal. Marcus sat at a dining table that could seat 20, eating food he'd never tasted before, using silverware he was afraid to drop. But Mia smiled. Really smiled. And that made everything feel okay. "Tell me about fishing," Mia said suddenly. Marcus looked up. "What? Fishing? I want to know. What's it like?" So Marcus told her. About the early mornings. The way the ocean looked at dawn. The satisfaction of a good catch. The frustration of a bad one. The peace of being out on the water with nothing but sky and waves. Mia listened like every word mattered. Michael listened too, quietly observant. "It sounds beautiful," Mia said softly. "It is," Marcus said. "Hard. But beautiful." After dinner, Marcus went out to the garden. He needed air. Needed to clear his head. Mia found him there, sitting on a stone bench under a massive oak tree. "Can I sit?" she asked. "Of course." She sat beside him. They were quiet for a while. "I never thanked you properly," Mia said finally. "You don't have to." "I do." She turned to him. "You could have turned me away. You could have ignored me. You could have called someone and made me someone else's problem. But you didn't. You fed me. You cared for me. You sacrificed for me. You're the reason I'm alive." Marcus didn't know what to say. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to thank you," Mia said quietly. "Just be happy," Marcus said. "That's thanks enough." Mia smiled. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned her head on Marcus's shoulder. And for the first time in weeks, Marcus felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. 3 months passed like a dream Marcus kept expecting to wake up from. Michael Theron had kept his word. He'd built Marcus something beyond imagination. Not just a workshop, but an entire marine facility. State-of-the-art boat repair. Modern equipment. Training programs for young fishermen. It employed over 50 people and was already the talk of Cape Town. Marcus still couldn't believe it. Every morning he'd wake up in his new apartment, provided by Michael, drive to the facility in a truck, also provided by Michael, and spend the day working with tools he'd once only seen in catalogs. But the best part wasn't the business. It was Mia. She came by often. At first, she said it was to check on the facility's progress. Then she started just showing up to talk. To sit in Marcus's small office. To grab lunch together. To watch the sunset over the harbor. They'd become friends. Close friends. And somewhere along the way, though neither said it out loud, something more had started growing between them. Today was different though. Today, Michael had invited Marcus to a charity gala. Black tie. Fancy hotel. All of Cape Town's elite would be there. "I don't belong at something like that," Marcus had protested. "You saved my daughter," Michael had said firmly. "You belong anywhere I say you belong." So Marcus found himself in a rented tuxedo, standing in a ballroom that dripped with chandeliers and wealth. He felt like a fish out of water. Literally. But then Mia appeared in a stunning blue dress, and everything else faded away. "You look beautiful," Marcus said without thinking. Mia blushed. "You clean up pretty well yourself." They stayed together most of the night. Dancing. Talking. Laughing. People whispered. Of course they did. The billionaire's daughter and the fisherman. It was the kind of story people loved to gossip about. But Marcus didn't care. And neither did Mia. Around 10 p.m., Michael stood up to give a speech. The room quieted. 3 months ago, Michael began, I got my daughter back. Not because of money. Not because of power. But because of one man's kindness. He gestured to Marcus. People turned to look. Marcus felt his face get hot. Marcus found Mia when she was dying. He fed her every day with what little he had. He sacrificed his own food, his own comfort, to keep her alive. That kind of humanity is rare. And tonight, I want to honor it. Applause filled the room. Marcus wanted to disappear. Which is why I'm proud to announce, Michael continued, a new scholarship fund in Marcus's name. It will help young people from fishing communities get education and opportunities they deserve. More applause. Even louder. Mia squeezed Marcus's hand under the table. But then, as Michael was about to continue, a voice cut through the room. That man is a liar. Everyone froze. The room went silent. A man stood up near the back. Middle-aged. Poorly dressed compared to the others. His face was red with anger. Who are you? Michael asked, his voice cold. My name is Richard Peterson, the man said loudly. And I know the truth about Marcus. Marcus's blood ran cold. Marcus worked for my boat repair shop 5 years ago, Richard continued. He was arrested. For theft. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mia's hand tightened on Marcus's. Her face went pale. That's not, Marcus started. I have proof. Richard shouted. He pulled out a folded paper. Arrest records. He was caught stealing parts from our shop. The room erupted. People started whispering. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Michael's face went hard as stone. Give me that paper. Security moved quickly, taking the document from Richard and bringing it to Michael. Michael read it carefully. His jaw tightened. Marcus felt like the floor was dropping out from under him. Mr. Theron, I can explain. Is this real? Michael asked quietly. Were you arrested? Marcus's throat was so tight he could barely speak. Yes. Mia made a small sound. Like something breaking. But it's not what it looks like, Marcus said desperately. They accused me, but I was innocent. They caught the real thieves a month later. The charges were dropped. I was cleared. Then why does this record exist? Richard shouted. Because arrests stay on record. Marcus shot back. Even when you're innocent. The room was chaos now. People talking over each other. Cameras everywhere. This would be all over the news by morning. Michael held up his hand. The room slowly quieted. Everyone out, Michael said calmly. This event is over. But Mr. Theron, someone protested. Out. Now. Security started moving people toward the exits. Richard tried to stay, but guards escorted him out firmly. Within 10 minutes, the ballroom was empty except for Michael, Mia, Marcus, and a few security personnel. Mia was crying silently. Michael's face was unreadable. Explain, Michael said to Marcus. Everything. So Marcus told him. About working at the boat shop. About the break-in. About being arrested because he was there and couldn't afford a lawyer. About the 3 weeks in jail until the real thieves were caught trying to sell the stolen equipment. I was cleared, Marcus said, his voice shaking. Completely cleared. The prosecutor even apologized. But the arrest stays on my record. That's how it works. Michael was silent for a long time. Then he turned to Mia. Did you know about this? No, Mia whispered. Michael looked back at Marcus. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was ashamed, Marcus said. Even though I was innocent. Even though I did nothing wrong. I was ashamed that it happened. That people could think I was a criminal. So you lied by omission. I didn't think it mattered. Didn't think it mattered? Michael's voice rose slightly. Marcus, I trusted you with my daughter's life. And you kept this from me. Dad, Mia started. Not now, Mia. Marcus felt his world crumbling. I understand if you want me to leave. If you want nothing to do with me. But please know that I never lied about helping Mia. I never lied about caring for her. That was all real. Michael stood there, his face hard. Then he did something unexpected. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Get me everything on Marcus Johnson's arrest from 5 years ago, he said. I want the full file. Arrest report. Court documents. Everything. I want it in 1 hour. He hung up and looked at Marcus. You're not leaving. Not yet. We're going to get to the bottom of this. If you're telling the truth, the evidence will show it. If you're not. He trailed off. The threat was clear. Marcus nodded. He had nothing to hide. The truth would clear him. But as he looked at Mia's tear-stained face, he wondered if the truth would be enough to fix what had just been broken. The next hour felt like the longest of Marcus's life. They moved to a private conference room in the hotel. Marcus sat on one side of a large table. Michael and Mia sat on the other. Security stood by the doors. Nobody spoke. Mia kept looking at Marcus like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Her eyes were red from crying. Marcus wanted to reach out to her, to explain again, but the distance between them felt like an ocean. At exactly 11 p.m., Michael's phone rang. Send it up, he said. 2 minutes later, a man in a suit arrived with a laptop and a thick folder. He set both in front of Michael without a word and left. Michael opened the laptop first. He read in silence. Marcus watched his face, trying to read any clue about what he was seeing. After what felt like an eternity, Michael looked up. Tell me again, he said. What happened that night 5 years ago? Marcus took a deep breath. I was working late. My boss, Richard's brother, had asked me to finish repairs on a fishing boat. I fell asleep in the workshop around midnight. I woke up to police flashlights and sirens. Someone had broken in and stolen tools and engine parts worth thousands. They found me there and assumed I was involved. Why would they assume that? Because I was poor. Because I had no one to vouch for me. Because it was easier to blame the homeless kids sleeping in the corner than to admit their security was terrible. Michael scrolled through something on the laptop. It says here you had no prior record. I didn't. And you had no lawyer. Couldn't afford one. So you spent 3 weeks in jail awaiting trial. It wasn't a question. Yes. Until they caught the real thieves. 3 guys trying to sell the stolen parts at a shop in Mitchell's Plain. They had everything. The police dropped all charges against me immediately. Michael nodded slowly. He turned the laptop around so Marcus could see it. Is this the court document? Marcus looked. It was his case file. Right there in official government records. Charges filed, then dismissed. Case closed. Innocent. Yes, Marcus said quietly. Michael pulled up something else. And this. It was a police report. Written by the arresting officer. Marcus read it and felt anger rise in his chest. Suspect appeared to be sleeping at scene. No physical evidence linking him to the crime. No stolen property found on his person or in his belongings. Suspect claims he was merely staying overnight with permission from shop owner. Unable to verify claim as owner was unreachable. Even the officer had doubts. Michael closed the laptop. He opened the physical folder and pulled out several documents. He read through each one carefully. Then he looked up. Marcus, I need to tell you something. Marcus braced himself. I've read everything, Michael said. The arrest report. The investigation notes. The dismissal. The apology from the prosecutor's office. He paused. You're telling the truth. Marcus felt his chest loosen slightly. But that's not all I found, Michael continued. He pulled out another document. I also found this. A lawsuit filed 2 years ago by Richard Peterson against the city. He claimed police incompetence led to the robbery at his brother's shop. He lost the case. Marcus frowned. I didn't know about that. And this. Michael pulled out another paper. A business closure notice. Richard's brother's shop went bankrupt 8 months ago. Richard blamed everyone. The city, the police, competitors. Understanding dawned on Marcus's face. He blamed me. When you became successful, Michael said, when your facility started attracting the same clients his brother used to serve, he saw an opportunity. To hurt you. To destroy what you'd built. Mia's eyes widened. So he came tonight too. To ruin Marcus's reputation, Michael finished. To make him look like a criminal. To turn me against him. Marcus sat back in his chair. It almost worked. Michael's expression softened slightly. Marcus, I'm sorry. I should have trusted you. Should have believed you when you explained. You had every right to question me, Marcus said. I should have told you from the beginning. Yes, you should have. Michael's voice was firm but not angry. Not because I would have judged you, but because hiding it made it look worse when it came out. Marcus nodded. I know. I was stupid. You were scared. This came from Mia. She'd finally spoken. You were scared we'd reject you. Marcus looked at her. Yeah, I was. Tears filled Mia's eyes again. I'm sorry I doubted you. You had reason to. No, I didn't. Mia stood up and walked around the table. She stood in front of Marcus. You saved my life. You fed me when you had nothing. You asked for nothing in return. I should have trusted you completely. She took his hands. I'm sorry. Marcus stood up. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. Mia pulled him into a hug. Marcus closed his eyes and held her, feeling the weight of the evening finally start to lift. Michael cleared his throat. So, what do we do about Richard Peterson? Marcus and Mia pulled apart. Nothing, Marcus said. Michael frowned. Nothing. He's angry. He's hurt. His business failed and he's looking for someone to blame. Taking legal action will just make him angrier. Just let it go. He tried to destroy you tonight, Michael said. But he didn't. Marcus looked at Mia, then back at Michael. Because the truth came out. That's enough. Michael studied Marcus for a long moment. Then he smiled slightly. You're a better man than most people I know. I just don't see the point in revenge. Spoken like someone who's never had the resources for revenge, Michael said dryly. But there was respect in his voice. He stood up and extended his hand. Thank you, Marcus. For your honesty. For saving my daughter. For being exactly who you appear to be. Marcus shook his hand. Thank you for believing me. Going forward, Michael said, no more secrets. From anyone. Clear. Clear, Marcus said. Clear, Mia agreed. They left the hotel after midnight. The press had gathered outside, but security got them through without incident. By morning, the story would be everywhere, but now Michael had the truth on his side. In the car, Mia leaned against Marcus's shoulder. I was so scared tonight, she whispered. So was I. I thought I was going to lose you. Marcus looked down at her. You won't. She looked up at him. Promise. He smiled. Promise. But neither of them knew that the biggest test of that promise was still to come. 8 months had passed since the gala incident. Life had found a new rhythm. The marine facility was thriving. Marcus had trained dozens of young fishermen. His reputation, once damaged, had been rebuilt stronger than before. The truth about his past had actually made people respect him more. He'd survived injustice and came out kind. But the biggest change wasn't business. It was personal. Marcus and Mia had fallen in love. Slowly. Carefully. Both of them were cautious people, scarred by their pasts. But what started as friendship had grown into something neither could deny. Michael had seen it coming before they did. One night, he'd called Marcus to his study. "You love my daughter," Michael had said. Not a question. Marcus had frozen. "Sir, I..." "Don't lie to me, Marcus. I see how you look at her. How she looks at you." Marcus had swallowed hard. "Yes. I love her." Michael had studied him for a long moment. Then he'd said something Marcus never expected. "Good. Good. You're the kind of man I want for my daughter. Honest. Kind. Hard-working. You proved yourself in the hardest way possible." Michael had paused. "But if you hurt her, Marcus, there won't be anywhere on this earth you can hide from me." Marcus had nodded. Understood. 6 months later, Marcus had proposed on a fishing boat at sunrise. Simple. Quiet. Perfect. Mia had cried and said yes before he even finished asking. And now, here they were. Wedding day. The venue was beautiful. A garden overlooking the ocean in Camps Bay. White flowers everywhere. Rows of chairs filled with Cape Town's elite, mixed with fishermen and dock workers in their best clothes. 2 worlds colliding. Marcus stood at the altar in his tuxedo, his hands shaking slightly. His best man, old Tom from the bait shop, stood beside him grinning. "Never thought I'd see the day," Tom whispered. "Little Marcus getting married to a billionaire's daughter." "Shut up, Tom," Marcus whispered back, but he was smiling. The music started. Everyone stood. And then Marcus saw her. Mia walked down the aisle on her father's arm. She wore a simple white dress, elegant and stunning. Her hair was down, flowers woven through it. She was smiling, but Marcus could see tears in her eyes. She was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Michael walked her to the altar and placed her hand in Marcus's. He leaned close and whispered, "Take care of her." "I will," Marcus promised. The ceremony began. The priest spoke about love and sacrifice and second chances. About how 2 people from different worlds had found each other through tragedy and kindness. Marcus barely heard any of it. He just looked at Mia, holding her hands, thinking about the girl he'd found dying behind crates. About the long nights feeding her. About not knowing if she'd survive. And now she was about to become his wife. "Do you, Marcus Johnson," the priest said, "take Mia Theron to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do," Marcus said. His voice cracked slightly. "And do you, Mia Theron, take Marcus Johnson to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Mia smiled through her tears. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me." "Wait." The word cut through the air like a knife. Everyone turned. Marcus's heart sank. A woman stood up in the back row. She was elegant, well-dressed, probably in her 50s. Her face was serious. "This wedding cannot continue," the woman said loudly. Murmurs swept through the crowd. Mia's hand tightened on Marcus's. Michael stood up from his seat in the front row. "Who are you?" Michael demanded. "My name is Inspector Adeyemi," the woman said. "Cape Town Police. Special Investigations Unit." Marcus felt ice in his veins. "There is something everyone here needs to know," Inspector Adeyemi continued. "About Mia's kidnapping." The murmurs turned to gasps. Mia went pale. Michael's face hardened. "This is neither the time nor the place," Michael started. "I'm afraid it is," Inspector Adeyemi interrupted. We've been investigating Mia's kidnapping for months. We've tracked the criminals, interviewed witnesses, followed every lead. She paused. The garden was completely silent. And we've discovered, Inspector Adeyemi said slowly, that someone at this wedding had knowledge of where Mia was being held. The crowd erupted. People stood up. Cameras came out. Marcus felt like he was drowning. "No," Mia whispered. "No, no, no." Inspector Adeyemi's eyes swept across the crowd. Then they stopped, fixed on one person. "Someone here," she said clearly, "was connected to the kidnapping." And slowly, deliberately, she raised her finger, pointed, directly at Marcus. "Marcus Johnson," Inspector Adeyemi said, her voice carrying across the silent garden. "I need you to come with me. Now." The world exploded. Mia screamed. "No. That's impossible." Michael moved toward the inspector. "You're making a mistake." "I don't make mistakes, Mr. Theron." Security surrounded Marcus. He stood frozen, his mind unable to process what was happening. "Marcus didn't. He saved me," Mia cried. "He fed me. He kept me alive." "I know what he did," Inspector Adeyemi said. "And I know what he didn't tell you." She looked at Marcus. 5 years ago, you worked at Peterson's boat repair. Correct." Marcus's throat was too tight to speak. He nodded. "The same shop that was used as a hideout by the kidnapping gang," Inspector Adeyemi continued. "The same shop where stolen vehicles were stored. The same shop where, according to our investigation, the kidnappers planned Mia's abduction." "That doesn't mean," Michael started. "We have witnesses," Inspector Adeyemi said. 3 of the kidnappers have been arrested. One of them claims Marcus knew about their operations. Claims Marcus was there when they discussed kidnapping targets. "That's a lie." Marcus finally found his voice. "I had nothing to do with any of that." "Then why," Inspector Adeyemi said coldly, "did one of the kidnappers say you argued with them? Why did he say you fought against hurting Mia? Why would he know your name, Marcus, unless you were there?" Marcus's mind raced. Then, suddenly, it clicked. "Because I was there," Marcus said. 5 years ago. When I worked at that shop. They were using it for illegal activities. I saw things. I questioned things. That's why they framed me for the robbery. They wanted me gone." Inspector Adeyemi raised an eyebrow. "And you expect us to believe that you just happened to find Mia? By coincidence." "It was a coincidence." "Or," Inspector Adeyemi said, "you were part of the plan. You knew where they'd abandon her. You rescued her to look like a hero, to get close to the Theron family, to access their wealth." "No," Mia sobbed. "That's not true. None of that's true." "I'm afraid, Miss Theron," Inspector Adeyemi said gently, "we need to investigate. And until we do, this wedding cannot proceed." 2 officers moved toward Marcus. He stepped back instinctively. "Wait," a voice said from the crowd. Everyone turned. An older man stood up. He was poorly dressed, out of place among the wedding guests. His face was weathered, hard. "I can tell you the truth," the man said. Inspector Adeyemi frowned. "Who are you?" "My name is David," the man said. "And I was one of the kidnappers." The garden erupted into chaos. Security moved toward David immediately, but Inspector Adeyemi held up her hand. "Wait. Let him speak." David walked slowly toward the altar. He was thin, maybe in his late 40s. His clothes were worn. His hands shook slightly. He looked like a man carrying the weight of terrible choices. "I was there," David said quietly. "When we took the girl. When we held her. When she got sick." Mia made a small, broken sound. Marcus moved toward her instinctively, but an officer blocked his path. "Why are you here?" Inspector Adeyemi demanded. "Because you're wrong," David said. "About him." He pointed at Marcus. He had nothing to do with the kidnapping. You're lying to protect your accomplice. I'm telling the truth to save my soul. David's voice cracked. I've done terrible things. Things I can't take back. But I won't let an innocent man be destroyed for something he didn't do. Inspector Adeyemi studied him carefully. Go on. David took a shaky breath. 5 years ago, I worked with a crew. We stole cars, boats, parts. We used Peterson's shop as a base. The owner, Richard's brother, he looked the other way because we paid him. Michael's face darkened. There was a kid working there, David continued. Marcus. He was young, poor. Slept in the workshop because he had nowhere else to go. He saw us one night. Asked questions. Threatened to call police. Marcus closed his eyes. He remembered that night. The fear. The threats. We couldn't have him talking, David said. So we set him up. Staged a robbery. Made sure he was there when police arrived. Got him arrested. Got him out of our way. So you framed him, Michael said, his voice cold as ice. Yes. David's voice was barely a whisper. We destroyed that kid's life because he was honest. And the kidnapping? Inspector Adeyemi pressed. Years later, our crew moved up. Started kidnapping rich people's kids for ransom. We researched targets. The Theron family was perfect. Rich. High profile. We planned it for months. Mia was crying quietly now. Michael's hand was on her shoulder, but his eyes never left David. We took the girl, David continued. Held her for weeks. But something went wrong. She stopped eating. Got sick. Really sick. We panicked. Some guys wanted to kill her. Get rid of the evidence. The crowd gasped. I argued against it, David said. I said we'd already done enough wrong. I remembered something that kid, Marcus, had said years ago. He said, even someone with nothing has the right to live. That stayed with me. Haunted me. David's eyes met Marcus's. So when they wanted to kill the girl, I fought them. Said we should leave her somewhere. Give her a chance. They finally agreed. We drove around looking for a place. And I saw it. That old fishing dock. Cork Bay Harbor. Marcus's breath caught. I remembered that kid used to work there, David said. I thought, maybe if we leave her nearby, maybe that stubborn, kind kid would find her. Would help her. It was a long shot. But it was all I had. Silence fell over the garden. Complete. Total. Silence. You left her there intentionally, Inspector Adeyemi said slowly. Hoping Marcus would find her. Yes. So Marcus had no knowledge of the kidnapping. None. He probably didn't even remember me. It was dark that night we threatened him. We wore masks. But I remembered him. Remembered his character. David looked at Marcus again. You were always too good for this world, kid. Even when you had nothing, you had everything that mattered. Tears ran down Marcus's face. Inspector Adeyemi turned to Marcus. Mr. Johnson, I owe you an apology. Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded. Inspector Adeyemi gestured to her officers. Take Mr. David into custody. As officers approached, David didn't resist. But he looked at Mia. I'm sorry, he said. For what we did to you. For the fear. For everything. I know sorry doesn't fix it. But I'm sorry. Mia stared at him. Then through her tears she whispered, thank you. For giving me a chance. David nodded. Then he was led away. The garden slowly came back to life. People talking. Crying. Processing. Michael walked up to Marcus. For a moment, he just looked at him. Then he pulled Marcus into a fierce hug. You're a good man, Michael said quietly. A better man than most of us deserve. When they pulled apart, Marcus turned to find Mia. She was standing a few feet away, her wedding dress crumpled, her face wet with tears, her eyes red. "Mia," Marcus started. She ran to him, crashed into him, wrapped her arms around him and sobbed into his chest. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I'm so sorry I doubted you even for a second." "You didn't," Marcus said, holding her tight. "You defended me. But I was scared. For a moment, I was scared it might be true. That's human. That's okay." They stood there holding each other while the garden slowly settled. The priest approached cautiously. "Should we continue?" he asked. Marcus pulled back and looked at Mia. "Do you still want to?" "More than anything," Mia said. They returned to the altar. Guests sat back down. Cameras were put away. The moment found its way back to what it should have been. "Where were we?" the priest asked with a small smile. "You were about to pronounce us husband and wife," Mia said. The priest nodded. "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Marcus, you may kiss your bride." Marcus pulled Mia close and kissed her. The garden erupted in applause and cheers. The sound of joy after so much pain. When they pulled apart, Marcus whispered, "I love you." "I love you too," Mia whispered back. "My hero." "I'm not a hero. I just did what was right. That's what makes you a hero." 2 years later, Marcus stood at the dock of his marine facility, watching the sun rise over the Atlantic. The business had expanded. They now trained over 200 young people from fishing communities across South Africa. Mia ran a foundation that provided food and care to homeless populations throughout Cape Town. Every Friday, they volunteered together, serving meals, listening to stories, offering hope. Marcus thought about that night often, finding Mia behind the crates, not knowing if she'd survive, not knowing his life was about to change forever. "Hey." Mia appeared beside him, her hand resting on her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant. "Hey yourself," Marcus said, putting his arm around her. "What are you thinking about?" "About how everything changes with one choice. Like helping a dying stranger?" "Like that." Mia leaned against him. "Do you ever regret it? Your old life was simple. Now it's complicated." Marcus thought about it. "No. My old life was empty. This life is full. Full of love, purpose, meaning, and chaos," Mia added with a smile. "And chaos," Marcus agreed, laughing. They watched the sun climb higher. Boats leaving the harbor. Seagulls calling. Life moving forward like it always does. "Marcus," Mia said softly. "Yeah. Thank you. For feeding me when I couldn't feed myself. For seeing me when I was invisible. For loving me when I was broken." Marcus kissed the top of her head. "Thank you for letting me." In the distance, a small fishing boat headed out to sea. Marcus watched it go, remembering the man he used to be. Poor. Alone. Hungry. But with a heart big enough to save a dying girl. And that heart had saved them both. The end. Thank you so much for watching this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our inspiring stories. Comment below. What would you have done in Marcus's situation? Share this video with someone who needs to hear a story about kindness and redemption. Remember, sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change everything. See you in the next story.